Okay, welcome. I'll be arguing that Margaret Thatcher was the hero that Britain deserved, much like Batman in the spirit of Halloween. So, oh no. Thought it appropriate to show a clip from The Dark Knight.
This is the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs right now. So we'll hunt him. Because he can take it. Because he's not our hero. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector. The Dark Knight.
So, in that line of thinking, Margaret Thatcher, oh boy, was Britain's Dark Knight. Britain wanted a white knight, a Harvey Dent, a clean figure who did everything right and made everything right. But what they got was Margaret Thatcher, someone who didn't care what people thought of her and did everything for the benefit of Britain. As you can see, I altered saying a little bit. She's the hero of Britain, the watchful protector, the Iron Lady. I have three main points to back this up. The first being that she was a strong, authoritative leader that Britain needed at the time, and this has to do with this Batman idea. Frankly, in the 70s, the British were embarrassed because of the OPEC crisis. They were forced to ask for a bailout from the IMF. The empire was dead, and all of a sudden they were at the bottom of the barrel of the EU. Thatcher gave them a strong leader to combat the time. She paired with Reagan to take on the USSR. She even took on the EU in an unprecedented action, got a rebate back from the EU for millions of dollars because she felt like they weren't really representing British interests. And also, most famously, she stood up to the coal miner union who she attempted to shut down their mines because they weren't productive and weren't really making Britain a profit. And so she didn't give in. She took them on and shut the mines down. The second point is that she revitalized the British national identity, and a really identity that was in the dumps in the 70s before she took over. No one was proud to be British. The economy was terrible. The soccer team sucked. And there was really no hope. And kind of most famously, as you can see here, this was the Falklands War, and this was really what kind of brought back the British national identity when Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands off the coast of Argentina. She sent a naval fleet there, and her intent here was to really get this sense of identity back. Here in Shin, she says, now we've ceased to be a nation in retreat. We've instead a newfound confidence born in the economic battles at home and tested and found true 8,000 miles away. And so my third point is that she revived the doomed economy. And really she inherited an economy that was in shambles in the 70s because of the OPEC crisis. And all she did was shut down inefficient firms. She privatized key industries and production, really. And she also lowered taxes. And what this did was increase production, increase profits, and increase competition. You can see in a Jenkins article that I read, it speaks to how in the 70s, Britain was at the bottom of the barrel of the EU, and by the 90s, they were the top in economic confidence, economic freedom, and Thatcher had a huge role in this. And then from the TV station France 24, Thatcher believed in privatization and opened up markets to the wider world. She opened up those markets, privatized industry, so there was competition, so that prices could be driven down, so that there was more consumer choice. And she even replenished the national treasury as well by selling off national assets. So she really had all-around success. She replenished the treasury, got competition up, drove prices down, and really allowed the British people for the first time to be able to, since the war, to own their own houses and really participate in the economy by buying shares in these British corporations, who were having a lot of success under her policies. So, in conclusion, I recognize Kiana's point that in the first year of Thatcher's term, unemployment went way up, economic production went down, but this was because of her strategy of scorched earth, kind of coming in and tilling up everything. So she shut down industries that weren't productive, and naturally this caused kind of issues in her first year. But what that did cause is in the rest of her 80s term, you see the highest economic growth in Britain all the way to the modern day. So I understand that first you saw kind of a downturn in the economy and low and high unemployment, but that immediately rebounded and caused really a boom time in the British economy. And then also the point about centralization is well taken. It's kind of a paradox that she's trying to privatize but also centralize. But most of her centralization was in schools and the health sector, and that had a lot of success. So even though it kind of went against what she was saying, it benefited a lot of people. And then the milk snatcher thing, actually she did take out the milk from schools, but basically she did that because kids weren't drinking milk, and she poured a lot of that money into other resources that really helped the kids, because a lot of the schools were just underfunded, especially in northern England. So that's my point. Margaret Thatcher was Britain's Batman. She did everything. She didn't care what people thought of her, and she really put the benefit of Britain ahead, even if people didn't think that she was doing that and resented her for it. But in the end, that was her goal, to make Britain great again. Thank you.